Hey, what's up mortals? Zigzag here, and welcome to part 5 of What If Naruto Had a Leveling System. Want to invite you guys to sit back and relax? You're in for a treat. And so, we begin. It was finally the day of the Chunin exams. Team 7 had gone their separate ways to train. None of them knew what the other had in store. All they knew for sure was there would be some strong competition in the coming exams. They only hoped that each member of their team could keep up until the very end. Naruto's hair was a bit longer and you could see the exhaustion in his eyes. He had bags under his eyes, small but noticeable. Sakura had also gained a few scars around her arms, and she was wearing bandages around her hands now. Naruto was intrigued by this change in her outfit. Was she learning hand-to-hand combat or something? None of them spoke a word to each other as they walked into the exam halls. As soon as they stepped through the doors, they heard shouting. They looked up to see a boy with bushy eyebrows, a bowl cut, and a green jumpsuit. Sakura cringed just at the sight of him. "I am Rock Lee, and I challenge you, Sasuke Uchiha, to a fight." Sasuke had a deadpan look on his face. He didn't really take this kid too seriously. He declined the offer to fight. He had nothing to gain from it. Rock Lee was relentless, though. It was getting annoying, even for Naruto. "Just shut him up already!" "Why don't you fight him, then?" Naruto sighed. "Fine! I guess I have to do everything myself, then," Naruto yelled. "No, thank you! I only wish to fight Liu Chi." Rock Lee didn't get a chance to finish his sentence. Instead, he was faced with a kunai being thrown at him, which he swiftly dodged. He wasn't expecting it to come back around, though. The thing hit him in the back of the head. Luckily with the hilt, not the pointy end. The hyperactive boy rubbed the back of his head in pain. That genuinely hurt. He questioned how the blonde was able to do that. Some special kind of jutsu? It didn't matter in the long run. What mattered was that this guy was now his opponent. They managed to get the one-up on him after all. "I see you won't take no for an answer. I can respect that. Allow me to set some ground rules for the fight, though. Only taijutsu throughout this fight. Absolutely no genjutsu or ninjutsu of any kind, since I can't do either of them myself. This will make this fight completely fair. Is that clear?" Naruto nodded in response before leaping forward. Rock Lee's eyes widened at Naruto's speed. He quickly ducked, avoiding a right hook from the blonde. Naruto didn't stop there, though. He went in for a kick while Rock Lee was still in a crouching position. He was too fast for Lee to dodge this time. A foot was delivered to Bushy Brow's jaw. The kick was too strong for a normal genin. It threw Rock Lee back several feet. "I must say, I underestimated you. But you will not win this fight today." Rock Lee rubbed his jaw as he got back up. He fell into his praying mantis stance, ready for Naruto's next attack. Naruto sped up and made his way behind Lee. He was about to give the boy a devastating jab, but someone grabbed his arm midway. "That's enough, you two," the new person stated. Naruto looked up to see who was grabbing his arm, and was surprised to see what looked like an older version of Rock Lee. Was this his dad or something? Was he a Chunin or a Jonin? "Now, Lee, what did I tell you about fighting opponents before the Chunin exams?" "You said not to start any conflict, or else there would be consequences," Rock Lee replied solemnly. "That's right. Now you must do 100 laps around Konoha. On your hands." Naruto didn't think this guy was serious at first, but the way Rock Lee acted was telling a different story. As Rock Lee walked away with what he presumed was his sensei, Naruto noticed a couple of scars on the boy's hands as he unwrapped his bandages. The amount of training he must have done must be insane. It made his threat of a decent fight more believable, to be honest. Team 7 went on their way. There was a delay before the first phase of the exam, though. A simple genjutsu had been casted to trick the genin, but Sakura was the first one to call it out. It was almost instantaneous. Even Sasuke was a bit impressed by how she managed to point it out at such speed. maybe whatever training she went through actually would pay off here. As they entered the location of the first exam, they also found out what it would be. They would be taking a written test. Naruto, when he took his seat and looked at the questions, broke into a sweat. A sudden realization hit him. He had absolutely no idea how to answer any of these questions. Throughout most of the exam, Naruto just stared at his paper, his own sweat slowly but surely soaking the exam paper. Come on, this couldn't be! After all his training to become as strong as he is now, he was going to be disqualified over a stupid test. Sasuke didn't know any of the answers either, but he had an ace up his sleeve. He had attained his Sharingan during his training. He activated it and began tracking the movements of the other examinees. He was basically just copying the answers from somebody else. Sakura didn't need to cheat at all though. She was highly intelligent, honestly one of the most intelligent in her class, and it was no surprise when she began writing down the answers to the questions with ease. She was using her own knowledge to get through the questions. As time went by, several examinees were disqualified after being caught cheating 3 times in a row. The proctor of their exam, Ibiki Morino, brought up one last question to torture the genin. This was a special one too. If anyone got the question wrong, they would be disqualified from the rest of the Chunin exams and be unable to partake in the exam ever again. They'd be stuck as genin for the rest of their lives. Even more genin began to leave the examination room, but Naruto stood his ground. He made it clear to everyone that he was no quitter. Even if he got the question wrong and was forced to become a genin for the rest of his life as a consequence. He vowed that he would become Hokage. With this declaration made by Naruto, Ibiki chuckled. The kid had spirit. He liked that. Those who stayed all passed. The rest of the questions didn't matter. Even Naruto, despite not answering a single question, passed the first phase of the exam. He cheered in victory. Hinata Hyuga sat right next to Naruto during this time, and was blushing when she saw the boy's smile. It could light up the whole room in her eyes. Next up on the chopping board was the second phase of the exams. A black-haired woman wearing an overcoat and what appeared to be a fishnet shirt crashed through the window. She introduced herself as Anko Mitarashi, and she would be the proctor for the second part of the Chunin exams. Ibiki was annoyed though. Annoyed that she decided to come through the window instead of walking through the door like a normal person. He scolded her for doing it even though he had told her to use the door 100 times before. Her response was fairly nonchalant and cheeky, which furthered Ibiki's frustration with the woman. Nah, not my style, Anko explained. Ibiki didn't bother saying anything else to the woman. He just signalled for her to leave with the rest of the genin that were in the room. She was surprised at how many were left. Oh, Ibiki! Are you starting to get soft all of a sudden? Huh? Ibiki glared at her before explaining that this batch seemed to be more capable. It had nothing to do with him being softer. Anko waved him off as she left the room, guiding the genin to their next location. Welcome to the Forest of Death, everyone! Now before any of you enter, we'll need you to sign some waivers. It does get pretty intense there after all. Anko went on to explain the purpose of the exam. It was fairly simple. A survival test. The objective was to get their hands on 2 scrolls. Each team would be given 1 at the start. In order to get the second scroll, they'd have to steal it from another team. The Forest of Death was known for having some pretty strong dungeons after all. They checked beforehand and found the level of these particular gates was C rank. The genin would have some difficulty here, but it shouldn't be anything too dangerous. Naruto spaced out halfway through the explanation though. After hearing about the scrolls, he stopped really caring about the rest of it. He could just ask Sasuke and Sakura about the details later, as he followed their lead. He was thinking back to his job change event. It was such a strange thing for him, even after everything else he had faced in the dungeons. He was meant to survive for as long as possible and rack up as many points as he could to get a higher tier job. He didn't even know what the system meant by job. Was it like regular jobs in Konoha, like ramen shops or flower shops? If that were the case, he was determined to get as close to the Hokage's position as possible. Every knight Naruto encountered was destroyed by he and his shadow clones, but he wasn't able to keep up with the influx of monsters. Several of his clones were getting destroyed and his chakra was running low, even lower than before. He refused to give up. He could feel a new form of chakra enveloping him while fighting the knights. It was ferocious. He couldn't really control himself properly while under the influence of this chakra. But he was cutting through these guys like hot knife through butter now. The effect started to fade though as the system's timer went off. Naruto neglected to do his daily quests and therefore was forced to take the penalty. Naruto's reminiscing was cut off when a kunai was hurled at him. He caught the weapon out of the air with his mouth and used enough force to shatter it. This shocked Anko. Of all the ways for him to stop that kunai, she really didn't see him doing that. This genin interested her quite a bit. She couldn't wait to see how this batch would end up. All of the genin entered the portal, but something was off. As the last genin entered the portal, the colour shifted from blue to red. The gate's aura changed too. Fear arose in Anko's heart. These guys were genin, they wouldn't be able to handle a red gate. She tried entering the portal herself, but it wouldn't let her. Now that the portal had become red, it wouldn't let her through. All she could do was hope for the best. She received even more distressing news. 3 bodies had been found. 3 corpses of genin from Kusagakure. She was able to identify one of them as Shiore. Why would someone do this though? Was it to use their faces throughout the exam? If that were the case, then the Shiore who went through the portal wasn't the real one. It was an imposter taking the tuning exams. But who would do such a thing? She gasped in horror. No, it couldn't be. Why now? Why did it have to be him? Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few things I'd like to go over before the video ends. First, we've got a primary channel called We the Celestials. We the Celestials does basically what we do here already, but their content is centered around the crazy world and lore of My Hero Academia. So please, check us out over there if you're feeling in the mood for a roller coaster of quirky content. We also have another relative to our channel, Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series, guaranteed. I'd like to let you all know on behalf of We the Celestials that I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. If you're perhaps interested in what we do here at WTC, then I would like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members over 16 years old. You can find us on our Discord, which you can locate in the description below. Our Discord is an all-round fantastic place to be. Whether you're just a fan or looking to join our band of misfits, all you gotta do is hit up the recruitment server and sign up for whatever category of work you're interested in. We're always looking for new members to join us. Well, that's it for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.